On January 29, 8:42 a.m., Christina Applegate admits she lies in bed for 22 straight hours because of MS pain. 50 pounds gained. 2 canes by the door. And one sentence that makes Hollywood go silent. She says walking to the bathroom feels like glass in her bones. She counts steps out loud. 16 from bed to hallway. 11 more to the sink. Every single one hurts, but that's not even the worst part. By 3:17 p.m. that same day, her legs completely give out. She collapses onto the couch. No cameras. No glam team. Just silence in a quiet Los Angeles living room, but that's not even the worst part. Everyone assumes the hardest part is the physical pain. The numbness. The tremors. But she says the real battle starts when the house goes quiet at night. That's when her mind refuses to rest. Doctors tell her stress triggers flare-ups. Yet every headline, every social media post, every public appearance demands strength. Smile. Pose. Reassure. So how does she survive that contradiction? Stay with this. Because by the end, you understand the exact routine she uses at 6:30 a.m. to stand up without falling. And here's the first clue: she never rushes. Not even for Hollywood. At 6:30 a.m., she sits upright for a full 3 minutes before moving. She flexes her ankles 10 times. Rotates her wrists. Breathes in for 4 counts. Out for 6. Precision replaces panic. The canes are not props. They are calibrated tools. One for stability. One for leverage. She positions them at exact angles against the mattress before standing, and if they slip, she starts over. Breakfast used to mean pancakes with her daughter. Now it means anti-inflammatory foods measured in grams. Blueberries. Spinach. 32 ounces of water before noon. Discipline becomes survival. Stop. Because here's the number that shifts everything: she films for a maximum of 90 minutes a day. Not 8 hours. Not 5. 90. After that, her body shuts down without warning. On set, she memorizes lines sitting down. Standing drains her twice as fast. Crew members rearrange blocking so she moves less than 12 feet per scene. Quiet accommodations no one notices. Pain spikes unpredictably at 2:14 p.m. during rehearsals. Her hands tremble. She clenches them under the table so no one sees. She refuses to let MS steal the scene, and that's when tension peaks. White medium star viral moment, she says, "This is the worst thing I've ever had in my life," and the room freezes. Not dramatic. Not rehearsed. Just raw truth that reframes every red carpet smile you've ever seen. That sentence spreads in under an hour. Screenshots. Clips. Millions of views by midnight. But what people don't see is what happens immediately after she stops talking. She exhales once. Long shoulders drop. Then she jokes about snacks to lighten the mood. Humor becomes armor. But armor gets heavy after a while. At 9:58 p.m., fatigue crashes over her like a wave. Vision blurs. Words slur slightly. She texts one friend a single word: flare. Then she turns off every light in the house. Sleep is not recovery. It's negotiation. She wakes 4 times a night from nerve jolts. Each time, she resets her breathing pattern and whispers to herself, "You're still here." Meanwhile, fans still expect the same sharp wit from sitcom days. The same timing. The same energy. But energy is now rationed like currency, and she spends it carefully. She admits some days she mourns the body she had at 35. The strength. The speed. The ease. Grief sits quietly beside resilience, and neither one leaves. And right now, as of this week, she says she is learning a new version of herself: slower, rawer, brutally honest. The real question is whether Hollywood adjusts with her, or falls behind. What do you think? The small problem starts at 10:06 a.m. Her right foot drags slightly across the kitchen tile. She blames exhaustion. By noon, that small drag turns into full numbness, and she pretends it's nothing. She tries to fix it with stretching. 15 minutes. Then 20. She pushes harder, thinking muscle memory will return. Instead, the spasm hits faster and sharper, and now the pain climbs higher. By 1:48 p.m., her daughter notices she isn't walking straight. One glance. One pause. Now it's no longer private. And once someone else sees it, the spiral accelerates. She downplays it instantly. Just tired. A half smile. A redirect. The cover-up begins with that sentence, but the limp is still there, and it's getting harder to hide. Stop. Because here's the statistic that doesn't care about pride: MS fatigue affects up to 80% of patients daily. Not occasionally. Daily. And she is living inside that number right now. The next morning at 7:12 a.m., she attempts to walk without both canes. Just one. Prove something to herself. 10 steps in, her knee buckles, and this time, she hits the floor. She laughs it off when help arrives. Says she tripped on nothing. But the bruise blooming on her shin tells a different story, and bruises don't lie. 3 days later, on February 2nd at 4:03 p.m., the neurologist increases her medication dosage. Higher milligrams. Stronger side effects. And suddenly the solution feels heavier than the disease. The medication dulls the tremors. But it fogs her memory. She forgets a line she's known for months. The crew goes silent, and now more people are watching closely. Meanwhile, across town at 6:55 p.m., a producer whispers about schedule adjustments. Shorter days. Fewer scenes. It sounds supportive, but the word replaceable hangs unspoken in the room. She hears about the whispers on February 5th at 9:22 a.m. Not directly. Never directly. Just a shift in tone. Fewer emails. Shorter replies. And that silence grows louder. She tries to overcorrect. Agrees to an extra interview. Adds 30 more minutes to a shoot. Pushes through visible pain, and by nightfall, she can't feel her left hand at all. White medium star viral moment, she says quietly, I may not have 10 years left in this body. One sentence. No music. No build-up. It lands like a thunderclap and reframes every career plan in an instant. That quote spreads faster than anything before it. By midnight, it's clipped, shared, replayed millions of times. But privately, she regrets how final it sounds, and doubt creeps in. Rewind to 2018. Another health battle. Another fight she wins. She reminds herself she survived that. But MS doesn't follow the same rules, and this opponent doesn't retreat. On February 9th at 8:11 p.m., she opens her calendar and cancels 2 appearances herself. Not the studio. Not the network. Her. And that decision sends a message. The small limp has become unpredictable instability. The longer she pushes, the faster her body pushes back. What happens if one fall is worse than the last? Her inner circle tightens. Fewer visitors. More privacy. They call it protection. But protection can feel like isolation, and isolation changes a person. By February 12th, 3:33 p.m., she stops reading comments entirely. No praise. No criticism. Just silence. Because once doubt plants itself, it spreads fast. And here's the part no one sees, the fear isn't just about walking. It's about relevance. About whether the industry moves on while she fights to stand. And that fear is louder than the pain. February 18th, 7:59 p.m. She stands backstage with both canes locked under her arms. The announcer says her name. The curtain begins to rise. And in that split second, everything slows down. She takes one step forward. The cane tip taps the stage. A hollow echo. Her right knee trembles almost invisibly. The audience doesn't see it yet, but the front row does. She inhales. Shoulders lift. Lights hit her face at full intensity. For half a second, her balance shifts backward. Her hand tightens around the handle, and time stretches thin. A producer moves 1 inch closer from the wings. Not touching. Just ready. She feels it. Straightens her spine. Forces the smallest smile, and locks eyes with the crowd. Then she says 4 words into the microphone. Clear. Steady. I'm still here, guys. The room goes silent before the applause detonates, and that silence says more than the cheers. Her inner circle feels it first. her daughter crying in the third row. A longtime co-star gripping his seat. Text messages firing off at 8:03 p.m, she did it. But the wave is just beginning. By 8:17 p.m, the clip hits social feeds. The first 12 seconds, the cane, the pause, the words. That's what spreads. Not the rest. Just those 4 words on loop. 14 million views in 36 hours. Headlines the next morning don't focus on weakness. They focus on defiance. Still here. Unbreakable. Screenshots of her smile flood timelines, but privately, her body crashes harder than ever. And after all of it, the applause, the views, the praise, she goes home at 11:42 p.m. and can't stand without help. The world sees resilience. She feels the cost. And a question about her future still hangs there.